Hello, friends. A lot of times when I read a book or watch a movie and am trying to explain it to somebody else, I find myself sharing just a sentence or so with them about what the book is mostly about or what the movie is mostly about. Sometimes people call that the gist, like, give me the gist of that book or give me the gist of that article. What they're really saying is give me the main idea of that article or what that article or book or magazine or movie is mostly about. So, our reading focus for today is I can identify the main idea of a multi paragraph text, and also I can determine the main idea of a text and explain how key details support the main idea. So, right here, I wrote the main idea is the central or most important idea in an article or a book. Sometimes we might call it the gist of an article or book. The main idea does not always have to be a full sentence. So, if somebody asked me what the gist or main idea of the first Harry Potter book, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, was, I would say something like, a boy discovers that he actually is a wizard. So that would probably be it, right? That's the main idea. That's mostly what happens in the story, summed up in one line. So the idea is this, is that you don't come up with the main idea out of the blue for no reason at all. The main idea of the article has supporting details. The supporting details tell the 5 W's: who, what, when, where, and why of the main idea. But our most important job right off the bat is going to be to try and figure out what the main idea of an article is. So I have this really helpful handout right here, and I know it's also in your packets. It says the main idea tells what the text is mostly about. You can look at some clues that will help you tell what the main idea of the text is mostly about. And you'll have to use some of your skills that you honed as working with nonfiction text features to help you figure out the main idea. So, number one is that you look at about what the text is about, okay? So, you have to think really about what the text is mostly about. And number two, looking at the title is always a big helper to try and figure out the main idea. You can also look at the pictures to also figure out the main idea. And number four says check the first sentence and the last sentence. Sometimes that has some really good ideas for what you would need to find the main idea of an article. And for number five, it says look for keywords and words that are repeated. Those are all good things in order to try to figure out the main article of or the main idea of an article. So we're going to look right here at this article that says a Wampanoag Child's Day. So right over here, I'm looking at the title. So I'm kind of thinking to myself, wow, the main idea must be something about a Wampanoag Child's Day. And it talks about these girls are riding in a Wampanoag boat called a Mashun, and Wampanoag children slept in wooden beds covered up in fur blankets. Notice how I'm being really careful to make sure I am reading these captions, because sometimes these captions that tell about pictures give you some information that's not in the text. So I'm going to read this article and I'm going to start looking at what we think the main idea is. So as you read, think about how a Wampanoag child's life long ago was different from your life today. I would love it if you would also whisper read along with me as I'm reading to give you some practice. Good morning. The sun is rising. It's time to get up. You have a busy day ahead of you. You step outside your house called a wee-two. Look how I use that pronunciation key to figure out how to say that. You stretch your arms and sniff the air. What's that delicious smell? So this first heading says Wampanoag food. So it's nasam. That is a food like oatmeal. You go over to the fire where your mom is cooking a big pot of it. Today the nasam has cranberries in it. They are tart and tasty. Yum! You're a bit thirsty after your breakfast, so you walk down to the river. You fill up a jug with ice-cold water and take a big gulp. It's really refreshing on this hot morning. Wampanoag chores. You walk back home and see if your parents need help with anything. Wampanoag kids long ago helped with chores just like kids do today. Boys helped hunt and fish. Girls helped cook, gather berries, and grind corn for Nawsum. Girls also gathered seafood from the seashore. Sometimes they saw pilgrim kids there doing the same thing. Wampanoag games. Wampanoag kids long ago had a lot of time to play. You could swim or go for a boat ride in the river. You could also have a running race. But watch your step. Wampanoag kids long ago didn't wear shoes when it was warm out. They went barefoot. Girls also played with dolls, and boys practiced shooting arrows with bows. Some kids had pet dogs to play with. Wampanoag bedtime. After your long day, you're exhausted. It's time to go back to the Weetu and go to sleep. You crawl into your bed. You snuggle up in your blankets. They are made of bear fur and deer fur. You are comfortable and cozy, and you fall asleep right away. Sweet dreams. Wow, okay. There's a lot of information in that article. And remember, our job at finding the main idea is really just think about the gist or the main idea of what the text is about. So I filled this out over here, and your job is going to be filling this out in your packet as well. That's going to be your homework for today. So let's look at the main idea. So I want to think about right here, I'm going to pull this out. I'm going to think about what the text is about, and I'm going to look at the title. So it says A Wampanoag Child's Day, Then I'm looking at the pictures. They're going in a canoe. There's pictures of them going to bed. Then I'm going to check the first sentence and the last sentence. Good morning, the sun is rising. It's time to get up. You know you have a busy day ahead of you. And fall asleep right away. Sweet dreams. That doesn't give me a lot of help, but now I'll look for key words and words that are repeated. Maybe I'll look at Nawsum. I'm looking at chores. I'm looking at games and bedtime and food. That's a lot of different information. So maybe the main idea or the gist of it has something to do, I could write about a Wampanoag's Child's Day. So I wrote right here, and you're going to write on your page, the main idea of this article is all about what a Wampanoag child did during their day. Because that's just basically what this whole article is about. It's all about, it doesn't have every single detail, but it has some details of what a Wampanoag child did during their day. So now I'm going to look for the details that help support that as my main idea. So the first thing I did is I was looking right here, and it says, I said, the first section was about Wampanoag food. So I am saying, that was not really, that didn't give me any information, but the detail right here, it said, Wampanoag children helped with chores. That's one thing they did was chores, because this whole section said chores. So I wrote down there, I said boys helped hunt and fish, because that seemed an important chore that boys did, and there's girls helped cook and gather berries. And that also seemed like a really important chore to help feed everybody. So then the next thing is I think I went back over here and I said, I need to have kind of a detail. What's Wampanoag food all about? Oh, that's right. It's the Wampanoag children had meals around the fire. They would help with things like getting water from the river because that's what they talk about as a really important part of that. The kids had to take care of that for themselves. So then next, another detail was, I'm kind of moving things around here as I'm going around. It says, was Wampanoag games. So I decided to write a detail just about the information that was in that heading. And I just wrote in there, I said, Wampanoag children spent a lot of time playing games because it sounded like it says Wampanoag kids long ago had a lot of time to play. And I wanted to make sure I said it in my own words, my detail right there. So that's what I did. Then the last section said Wampanoag bedtime. So I was looking through all these different words, and there's a lot about blankets and bear fur, and this picture shows them going to bed. So I wrote that Wampanoag children slept in beds with fur blankets at night because the picture kind of supports that, and so does the information there. So all of these different details really support what the main idea of a Wampanoag's Child's Day is all about, or the gist of it. So today your work is to fill out this main idea and details sheet in your packet and upload it when you are done. Have a fantastic day, friends.